you guys have an outline. Do you guys know when your time is? Try to come up to the seat that's here to my side. So like Claire, you're going to be the first person coming up. So if you would be sitting here, since you're our first. And then Asher, you're next. So just move close to the bima and keep your social distancing, since people are not in each other's pods, just to be a little bit close when you know it's your turn, okay? All right, we're all very proud of you. Thank you for being here, families. Thank you for lending us your children. I'm sorry that we didn't have the year that we would have liked to have had with them. And we are going to begin the service, which I think is probably already live streaming. Is it on?
Just on.
All right, you guys are on camera as of this moment. Shabbat Shalom to everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
We welcome our confirmation students, Beth Sholom congregation 5,781, the graduating class of 5781 of Beth Sholom congregation. And we are so thrilled that you are here and that your families are here with you, and even some of the members of our congregation who don't have a child or grandchild coming to confirmation are here to celebrate as well. So thank you for being here. And to all who are watching via live stream, we thank you for tuning in, and we are delighted to be in this room celebrating confirmation on this Shabbat. Our confirmation students are going to help lead the service, and they are also going to be sharing reflections about what being Jewish means to them. Some of them are going to be talking about who an important Jewish figure in their lives are. People will be talking about a number of topics that help why being Jewish is important to them, and we are really excited to hear their words. And we are going to begin the service right now. Claire Mantime is going to begin by leading us in Yedid Nefesh, and we ask you to turn to page 14 of your prayer book and to join with Claire in Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid Nefesh,
Al Harachaman, Neshama, El Betzonah, Yahut Zadok, Moayam, Lishtachaveh, El Mu'adam, Yeramo Yediduta, Mino Fetsu, Lechotam, Hadonu Ma'at, Zikaholam, Nafshicholam, Ahavatach, Anahem Rafalam, Eharolam, Nozivam, Asnitchazem, V'titrapeh, V'haitala, Shifkat Olam, Yasher Koach, we say to Claire, and again, it's so nice to be in person with all of you after all of these months, for many of us of being so far apart. We're going to be continuing the service on page 15. Asher Sasson is going to lead us in L'chun Ranana, the top of page 15 of your prayer book. Max, you're going to be on deck, so come on over to the side. Asher, page 15.
L'chun Ranana, L'chun Ranana, L'chun Ranana Adonai. L'chun Ranana, L'chun Ranana, L'chun Ranana Adonai. Naria, Naria, L'tzor Yishenu, Nikan Mafanav B'todah. Naria, Naria, L'tzor Yishenu, Biztirot Naria Lo. L'chun Ranana, L'chun Ranana, L'chun Ranana Adonai. L'chun Ranana, L'chun Ranana, L'chun Ranana Adonai.
40 shana kuhut b'dor va'amoram to'e levavhem v'hem lo yadu derachai. Asher nishbati v'api imivohun el menuchati. Thank you, Asher. We're now going to invite Max Goldman to share some words of reflection on becoming a confirmand this evening. Max, you're going to do it from this. I got to move the mic up about... I don't know. I can't really do this. I apologize. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom. If you have ever spoken with me for more than 5 minutes, one way or another, you will find out that I am Jewish, if Goldman didn't give it away already. Whether it be attending classes at Gratz College or discussing Israel and Judaism with friends at school who have never seen a challah before in their life, my life seems to be constantly enveloped in Judaism. Even though at places here like Beth Sholom and my elementary school, Perlman, it may look as though Jews run the world, the truth is that the Jewish people make up 0.1% of the world's population. We are special. We are a team. Some players on this team wrap tefillin every weekday while praying at the kotel. Other players on this team live in Florida, and every time Rosh Hashanah rolls around, make the most delicious apple cake and tell their children stories about their traditions from when they were younger. Here's the beauty of this team, though. Every player is equally important and vital to the team. Just as I have faced hard times or low points throughout my life, as I'm sure you all have, I know my people have too. From Hitler to Hamas, a team would not be a team without adversaries. What has happened in Israel over the past couple weeks cannot go unmentioned. This is not our first battle, and I'm sure it will not be our last. When I wake up every morning, I know that it is a new day, and I know that some days have been hard, but I also know that I'm going to play hard every day. No matter where your stance is, no matter what your role is on our team, I encourage you all to work together, because at the end of the day, we are all on the same team. As I am standing here tonight to be confirmed, I do not know just yet exactly what my future will hold, but I do know that I will continue to work my hardest for my team, the Jewish people.
Thank you, Max. That was awesome. We're going to have you switch, not teams, but switch podia to help us continue the service. I'm going to leave this over here for you. We're all turning now to page 16 of our prayer books, as Max is going to lead us as we open with Shiru Ladonai, sing a new song, Psalm 96, page 16.
Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai Baruch Shemo, Asru Miyom El Yom Yeshuato, Safru Bagoyim Kevodo, Bechol Ha'amim Niflaotav, Ki Gadol Adonai, Umehulam Me'od, Norahu, Al Kol Elohim,
Yai, 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 yanai, nai, 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 yanai, nai, 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 yanai, nai, nai, yanai, nai, yanai, nai, yanai, nai, yanai, nai, 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 yanai, nai, nai, yanai, 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 nai, yanai, nai, yanai, nai, yanai, yanai, nai,
Livnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel v'tzedek, ve'amin be'emunato.
Yasher Koach again, Max, and we are going to be hearing from you a little bit later. We can have you go back to your seat right now. We're going to ask Jacob Sasson if he will come to lead us as we turn ahead now to page 19 of your prayer book. 3 lines from the bottom of the page. Jacob is leading us in Romamu, page 19.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lecha hakodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lecha hakodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lecha hakodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lecha hakodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu.
Yasher Koach, Jacob, on beautiful Romamu. We're now going to ask your brother to come back, Asher, to lead us in Psalm 29, which is found on page 20 of your prayer book. It does say that it's customary to stand. People have been sitting a lot during this particular version since the last time that I've been with people and saying, if it feels more Shabbostic to be seated, stay seated. So if you want to stand, stand. If you'd like to be seated, feel free to be seated. As Asher leads us, page 20.
Havu Adonai b'nei Elim, Havu Adonai kevod v'os, Havu Adonai kevod shemo, Ishtachavu Adonai b'hadra kodesh, Kol Adonai ha'amayim, El hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim, Kol Adonai v'koach, Kol Adonai le'hadam, Kol Adonai shover harazim, V'yishaver Adonai et arzei alvadam, V'yarkidem kemoed Lebanon v'Sirion, Kemoven re'elim. kodesh, kol Adonai yechol el hayarot, vayechesov yeharot, upechalo kol Omer, kulo Omer kavod, Adonai lama buyashav, vayeshav Adonai melech leolam, Adonai os le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech amo v'shalom.
Please be seated, everyone. Sarah is going to now share some words with each of us from right here.
Shabbat Sholom. Growing up, I was taught that when you are lost and unable to find your way, God will open a door of promise and hope for you to then walk through. However, I believe that God presents you with opportunities that then allow you to make your own decisions based on the knowledge you've acquired from God's teachings. I have been a member of Beth Sholom congregation since I was born, and I can indefinitely say that being a part of this congregation has helped me become a better person through the roots of Judaism. It was here that I was shown how to care about others and help when needed, even if not directly asked, because in a world with such incredibly cracked foundations and man-made divisions between people, unity and kindness, no matter how small a gesture, can make all the difference. I was 13 years old when I started volunteering at the food pantry here every Wednesday over the summer. During those few hours every week, I was able to connect with many members of the Beth Sholom congregation. Together, we further reached out towards others in the Elkins Park area to create a solid system that managed to overcome differences in language and culture by simply being there to help one another. We worked with other, bigger organizations to ensure that those who sought our help would not have to worry about where their next meals would come from, a sort of relief so strong and yet basic in terms of necessity. It was then that I truly realized the struggles of others and what many of us are guilty of taking for granted. The lessons I've learned from everyone I've worked with, whether it be in Hebrew school or the food pantry, regarding compassion and kindness, will continue to be applied in my everyday life. It's important to me that I keep this branch of what being a part of the Jewish community has taught me, with me, because I never want to be the reason why someone is left to struggle alone. And as this chapter of our education of Judaism comes to an end, I hope that we all look towards the future and see not only what the world needs, but all the good we can do to help it. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Sarah. And we're going to invite Sarah and Morgan to come and to lead the next part of our service, which is Lecha Dodi. It is found on page 21. They're going to be singing all of the verses on page 21, and then we're going to invite people to rise to face the entrance to the sanctuary, and we're going to do the final verse on page 22 as we greet the Shekhinah, God's presence. Page 21.
Likrat Shabbat lechulenecha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh v'machshavat tchila lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela mikdash melech ir belucha kumisei מתוך חפך הרב לך שבט בימך בך והוא יחמו עלייך נאמר לך דודי לקרא קהלה פני שבת נקבלה נקרא ארי מהפקו מהלבשי בגדי תפארתך מעל יד Yishai Beit Halach Mikorba Nafshi Yige'ala Lecha Dodi Likrakala Pene Shabbat Mekabela Hitorari Kiba Ore Tuhumi Yuri Ori Shir Daberi Kavod Adonai Allah Lecha Dodi Likrakala Pene Shabbat Mekabela Bovi Veshalom Ataret Bahala Hagam Besimcha Ubet Sahala Tochemunet Am Segula Bovi Kala Lecha Dodi Likrakala Pene Shabbat Mekabela Lecha Dodi Likrakala Pene Shabbat Mekabela.
Yishar kochachot. Ladies, thank you so much. Morgan, hold on one sec. Please be seated. We are now going to ask Morgan to share her words with us right now.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
How do you measure greatness? How do people judge others on something they think is the best they've ever produced? I do not know that answer, but I do know that if I think that someone is judging the best thing I've ever done, there's always room for improvement. This is how I view dance. Every time I go on stage, or even in class, I'm producing my best that day can bring. But no one is ever perfect, which means there's always room to be a better you. My gift is dance. Though I don't view it as spiritual, it definitely made my world a better place. While no singular person could ever really change the world on their own, I feel as though I've changed the world around me. Being able to express my emotions in a way that a big number of people can relate and view my art is really special. The only way that I could see this as spiritual would be that my movement and emotion heal people watching. I also feel very special to know that I love something so much that I can share my art with others. While I do spiritual things like go to Jewish overnight camp, I dance. One of my favorite things to do with my friends is do Rikud, or help with the choreography for a musical that are all in Hebrew. While I know dance does not have the biggest impact on the world like science or math, I know that when I'm producing my art and being me, I'm helping at least one person. This means that while I can have a horrible day, I can always go to dance and it feels like it all washed away. Feeling this way is good for your mental health and physical health. It makes you have a safe space that is always there for you. So how do I measure greatness? I still don't know. All I know is that moving one day at a time and doing what you love makes your greatest. Thank you.
Morgan, those beautiful words. We're now going to invite Alex Olson to come and to lead us on page 23 of your prayer book, 4 lines from the bottom of the page. Alex is going to be leading us in Sadiq Katamar, page 23. Right? Sadiq Katamar Yifra Yeres Alavanan Yizgan Shetulim Bevet Adonai Bechatzrot Elohim Yafrichu Od Yenuvon Eseva Eshenim Rananim Yehu Lehagi Yashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Havla And Alex is now going to shift to this podium and share his words with us at this time.
The person that made the largest impact on my Jewish life is Cantor Jeffrey Weber. I went to Perlman Jewish Day School, so when it was time for my bar mitzvah, I was already able to read the Torah. The time spent in my bar mitzvah class with Cantor Weber was largely used for discussion about my Torah portion and what being Jewish really meant. He was there for me every step of the way, teaching me music, trope, and the courage I needed as I approached my bar mitzvah. Shortly after, there was an event in my life that he helped me through and gave me a broader understanding of not only what it means to be Jewish, but what it means to be a mensch. A cantor is traditionally called a hazan, and that comes from a word that means to have vision. The key skill in understanding how to chant Torah and all of the books contained within it. Knowing how much I loved music, he was eager to teach me different ways of studying trope. We worked together on the music for my bar mitzvah, and as well as putting prayer to song, and I accompanied him for Shabbat services the night before my bar mitzvah. More recently, as my sister's bat mitzvah approaches, my mentor reached out to me again with our combined love of music to be certain I had access to the trope and everything we needed so I could help my sister and pass on the same encouragement that he taught me. The greatest lessons that he taught me were to be there for each other, have faith in myself, to embrace my heritage, and above all, be a mensch.
Thanks, Alex. And before you go, we're going to have you lead Baruch Hu, right? So we're going to invite people. Thank you for those wonderful words. And we're going to invite people, if you are able to rise, to do so. If it's difficult to stand, please remain seated. And Alex is leading us in the Baruch Hu on page 28. Baruch Adonai Mevorach leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai Mevorach leolam vaed. You may be seated. Yasher Koach to Alex, and we're going to invite Claire back to help lead us in Ma'ariv Aravim on page 28 of your prayer book, page 28.
Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamidim lachalenu le'olam vaed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim.
Amen. And before we continue, Claire, do you want to come over here? Do your talk, and let me give you a little height. We're now going to hear Claire's words for us this evening.
Shabbat Sholom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is important to me to maintain my Jewish identity in the face of division so I know where I stand. In the face of political and human rights conflict, I turn to Jewish values such as V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as you love yourself, and Tzedek, Tzedek tirdof, justice, justice shall you pursue. Phrases like these teach me that the Jewish people must fight injustice and hatred, and that as a part of the Jewish people, I need to fight too. Right now, there is so much debate over human rights, from Black Lives Matter protests to bills trying to ban transgender student athletes. The Torah and the Gemara contain endless commandments and debates related to how to help others. Commandments like, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and even entire books like Birkei Avot, a collection of ethical teachings, teach me how to best serve the community and people around me. Judaism has a large focus on how to properly treat people, and that focus alone shows me the importance of learning ethics and putting time into studying texts that deal with this. Because of Judaism, I know where to stand in today's conflicts. As the Torah reiterates, we must love the stranger, because we were strangers in the land of Egypt. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Claire. And Max is going to come back and lead us in Ahavat Olam on page 29 of your prayer book. Please join with Max, page 29.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu V'shofeinu v'kumeinu Nasiach b'kecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'b'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki chen chayenu ve'orech yameinu ve'orech yameinu U'bahem negeh yomam v'layla yomam v'layla Ve'ahavtecha al tasor minenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai
Shemo.
Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Amen. Yasher Koach, Max, and Sarah, we're inviting you back to lead us in Shema and V'ahavta, page 30 of your prayer book.
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
Ve'ahavta
et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levacha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol me'odecha, v'hayu devarim ha'ela, asher ochi mitzavecha, hayom al levanecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'beitecha, v'lechtecha b'derech, v'shachtecha u'tkumecha, v'shartam liot al yadecha, v'yulatot afot b'neinecha, v'tavtam mezuzot beitecha, v'visharecha hayam. We're continuing privately through the bottom of page 30. And Sarah will leave us in just a moment on page 31 with Vayomer. Imei hashamayim ahal haaretz.
Vayomer Adonai el Moshe Lemor Daber al bnei Yisrael v'chatoahem v'asu lahem
Tzitzit al kanfei v'gdeihem l'dorotam v'natnu tzitzit hakanaf b'til tefilek hayah lachem l'tzitzit tehem otom v'zchartem et kol mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam v'lo taturu acharei levavchem v'acharei einechem asher atem zonim achareihem למען תזכרו עשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Yishar Kochech, Sarah, and we are now going to invite Aiden Kasner to come and to lead us in the middle of page 32 of your prayer book as we sing Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha elim adon, mi chamocha
nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot, osef elem, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. מלכותך רעו וענך בוקעם לפני משה זה ליאנו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלום יד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני Kahal Yisrael. And now we're going to invite Aiden to share his words with us this evening. You want to come over here? Aiden, do you want to come here? The mic's a little better. A little taller.
Around my neck lies the Star of David. I take pride in displaying my Jewish identity everywhere I go. My necklace serves as a good luck charm and a symbol for hope wherever I am. As a gift for my bar mitzvah, I received a necklace that my great-grandmother had gotten from Israel. I loved this necklace so much, and I wore it everywhere and showed it off everywhere I went. Fast forward to my 16th birthday. My aunt bought me a necklace donning an olive. Olive is the Jewish equivalent to an A, and my name begins with A, and I thought the necklace was really great and amazing, and I quickly switched it out for the old. I wore this 24/7. After wearing this necklace every minute of every day, it broke. And fast forward again to Hanukkah of the same year. I received another Star of David. I continued the tradition and wore the necklace every single day. I continued to wear it to this day and have it on this very minute. You are probably wondering why I just blabbered on about the different necklaces I've worn in my life. There is an important theme that stems from that story. No matter which one I wear, or even if I wear one at all, my Jewish pride stays with me wherever I go. Fast forward one last time to last summer. I traveled to West Virginia. In the back of my head loomed the assumption that this state, like many other states in the South, would unfortunately be less accepting of me and my religion. This damaged me. I struggled with wearing my chain, which used to stand for a symbol of hope and pride. I found myself wearing the necklace on the inside of my shirt more often, rather than displaying it outside for everyone to see. If this taught me anything, it would be to take pride in your religion no matter where you are or what you do. No matter what I wear or how I wear it, my Jewish pride is with me wherever I go.
Thank you, Aiden. And we are now going to invite Jacob to come back and to lead us as we turn now ahead to page 33 of your prayer book. And he joins with the cantor for Hashkivenu, page 33. Mortekeinu ben l'chaim l'shalom yatav yad Olam ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. Jacob, it's all yours.
Shabbat Sholom. I'm not sure about you, but I love food. I love Shabbat dinners with freshly baked challahs and warm matzo ball soup. I also love to eat dumplings and sushi. These different foods come from very different cultures. Matzo ball soup and challah are part of Jewish culture, while dumplings and sushi are a part of Asian culture. Although I maintain a Jewish identity, I am able to appreciate the food from other cultures. Growing up, I had the opportunity to be surrounded by a strong Jewish community. From going to Shabbat experiences to having Shabbat dinner at my grandparents' house, I've always loved to have a tie to the Jewish community. These experiences have helped me to develop my own individual identity within the Jewish community. As I grew older, I began learning about other religions and cultures and found that each person has their own individual identity, and that although you might not share aspects of that identity with others, yours is unique. I found that appreciating these differences can not only bring us closer together as a Jewish community, but also bring different communities together. Cultural foods can be very unique to a culture, or different cultures can share cultural foods. These divisions not only highlight the uniqueness of each cuisine, but also help to appreciate the common aspects. Like different cultural foods, having different cultures be able to connect is important to help understand people that have different cultural identities. This is what helps to bring a society together. For me, being able to not only share my Jewish identity and culture with people from within the Jewish community, but also to teach others about it is something that I believe is important to help connect us in a largely divided society. It could be something as simple as sharing a slice of challah or inviting them to your bar mitzvah and giving a devar Torah that teaches them something new. These actions ultimately bring us closer as a society while being able to appreciate our differences. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Jacob. Asher, we're going to invite you to come back to lead us on page 34 of our prayer books. Please join with Asher Vishamru, page 34, which will be followed by the Chatzi Kaddish, middle of the page.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Lasod et HaShabbat Ledorotam berit olam Beinu vein b'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam Oti le'olam Oti le'olam Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Lasod et HaShabbat Ledorotam berit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat ledorotam berit olam uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash shavat vayinafash shavat vayinafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat ledorotam berit olam.
We'll invite you to rise if you are able. Asher is going to continue with the Chatzi Kaddish, and then we'll have some time for some quiet and our own private prayer for the Amidah, beginning page 35 through page 38.
Ikadal v'ikadash shemei rabba
Amen.
v'yamadi v'akirte v'yamlich malchute v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayedecho b'Yisrael v'agalav v'zman kariv v'yimeru Amen. Yehi shlei rabba mevorach v'yolam yom elmaya Yiparach v'yishabach v'yipar v'yipaman v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudashah
Brechu
Leila min kol brechata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata damiram v'yama v'yimeru
Amen. Those of you who are still praying, please continue to do so. For those of you who have concluded, Asher is going to lead us in Oseh Shalom, which we ask God to bring peace, which we need so desperately at this time in our world and in the state of Israel in particular.
Oseh Shalom Limamav, Oseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'yimeru. Amen.
We're going to invite you to be seated as Asher is going to now. Last but certainly not least, in terms of our talks, we're going to invite Asher to share his words with us now.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Judaism means so much to me. It connects me to God and so many people around the world and all the friends I've made at Hebrew school, my USY friends, and all my friends from camp. As I sat here writing this, I tried to think of where I felt the biggest connection to God. My first thought was synagogue, but that felt too normal and too structured and not a real connection I had with God. Next, I thought of my bedroom and my house, but that didn't feel right either. My third thought was at the pool. If you know me, you know that is where I spend most of my time throughout the year, at water polo and diving practices. Right after I thought about the pool, I knew that was the place. Then I started to think about what specifically gave me my connection to God there. Right away, I thought of standing on the diving board before going up on my toes right before I start my dive. Standing there on my toes, I always take a deep breath in and out and do a small little prayer that my dive won't end in a belly flop. In that moment, it's just me and God, together, praying that my dive will go well, even if it's just at practice. That small little second before each of my dives is my connection to God, and that's enough for me, because through the course of the practice, I get 50 small connections to God, which add up to a lot. I think that this action draws my biggest connection to God because it is something that I love and enjoy. Having a connection with God pulls me closer to my Jewish community and gives me more time each day connecting with my roots than I would have otherwise. Having this connection with God has made me a better diver, teammate, and friend, and someone who's able to fail and get right back up. About 10% of diving is failing, and connecting with God has made me able to fail better and not let the failure stop me. Connections to things in your life are important. Don't give them up for anything. And enjoy each and every moment in your life that you can connect with God. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Asher, for those extraordinary words. And thank you to each and every one of our confirmation students for inspiring us this evening. We're going to ask Morgan to come back. And we're going to ask us to turn ahead to page 48 of your prayer book as she leads us in Kaddish Shalem. Amen. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabban Bevorach. Le'olam le'omei almaya yitbarach.
Yibarach Yishabach Yibar Vietnam Vinase Vitadar Vitale Vitala Shmei Kudishah
Berechu.
Le'ela Minchol Virkata V'shirata Tushbachata V'nechamata Tami Rami Ama V'yimeru.
Amen.
Tishba
Tikabat Slaton Avatchon B'chol Yisrael Kadam Abohon Tibishmaya V'yimeru. Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Mitzvah. Amen. Shalom Yamamav Huyase Shalom. Aleinu Yisrael. Amen. If you're able to rise, Morgan is going to lead us in Aleinu, page 51. Aleinu Shabeach Ladon HaKol.
La take you Kakatu v'tortecha v'la shema v'elam va'ed v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz v'yom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo
We want to invite those of you who are in the process of mourning or observing a yard site to remain standing. We say Yishar Kochech to Morgan on leading us, and invite those of you who are saying Kaddish to please join with me at this time. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah. B'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'yimru. Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam omei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shemei d'kudesha barichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Damiran bi'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. We ask God, who brings peace on high, to bring peace and comfort to those of you who are remembering your loved ones, and we say Amen. So Shabbat Shalom to everyone, and a special Mazal Tov to our confirmation students and your families. You are amazing young adults. I want to first say that Rabbi Mero wants to be sure that you know that she is wishing each and every one of you Mazal Tov and sending her love to each of you tonight. I want to start with a question to ask our confirmation students, and that is this. Do any of you know what we are talking about when we talk about the greatest generation in this country? What is the greatest generation referred to? Zach, you're not a confirmation student yet. Do any of our confirmation, shout it out if you know. Baby boomers. Nope. We are not the greatest. I'm a boomer. I'm at the end of the boomers. We are not the greatest generation. The greatest generation refers to, Zach, what? Nope, not Gen X. It has to do, we call the people who are part of the greatest generation, the people who lived through and helped win the Second World War in this country. That's who we call the greatest generation, because it was a time of incredible sacrifice for every person who lived in this country, from the people who went off and fought that war, and there were millions of soldiers who went and fought, and many of whom who died, and for all of the citizens who gathered together to support the effort to ultimately win the Second World War. So we call that generation the greatest generation. The reason I ask you this question is because if you happen to get Philadelphia Magazine, you might know that on the cover of the most recent issue of Philadelphia Magazine was the phrase, the greatest generation with a question mark, and it had photos of people from the Philadelphia area who were in elementary, middle, and high school, all wearing their masks and saying, the greatest generation question mark. Now, I bring this up not to debate whether or not the greatest generation was you guys right now or the people who lived through the Second World War. I bring it up because I want to acknowledge that this has been a really hard and, for many of you, sucky year that you have lived through because of this pandemic. There were a lot of things that you missed out on. Many of you missed out on being able to go to school in person. Some of you were lucky enough to be able to be doing in-person school, but a lot of you did not have school in person. and you missed out on seeing your friends in person regularly, and you missed out on seeing members of your extended family for long periods of time. And many of you missed out on one of the things you most look forward to every year, which was camp. Although this year, most of you who go to camp are going to camp. Yeah. So you had a lot, and you missed out on things we can't even list. You would have gone to New York City with each other and your clergy, and you would have seen a Broadway show, gone out to dinner at Ben's Kosher Deli, toured the Jewish Theological Seminary, gone to Columbia. You missed out on that. I'm sure that may not have been at the top 2 or 3 of your list, but you missed it. So why am I telling you all things? To make you feel miserable and terrible? No. I am saying this because I want you to know that all of the adults who care about you in your lives know that this was a really, really, really tough year that you guys have lived through. And so we are very glad that you are able to gather together in person and finally have some time to be together as a confirmation class and to celebrate your commitment to being Jewish. And some of you are probably thinking, like, what is confirmation about anyhow, and why was it invented? And really, it is a little bit of an artificial idea, but it comes out of the realization that when you guys turned 13, you were not really at a stage in your lives where you were really ready to understand what a commitment to being Jewish would be all about, even though you all had a bar or a bat mitzvah. And so in the conservative and the reform movements, there was this idea that we should really take you guys a few years after bar mitzvah and bring you together and say, let's acknowledge that now that you're turning 16, most of you, we can say you probably have more of an idea of who you are and what being Jewish might mean to you. That's why confirmation was created. And what I want to say to each of you tonight, as you think about this last year that you've lived through, is maybe a reminder about why being connected to being Jewish is so important. And I'm actually going to echo what Max Goldman said in his talk to you. Because when you connect yourself to the Jewish people, you're connecting yourself to a people that has known some pretty rough times throughout its history. And I'm not going to review all of the hardships. Max, I think, used the phrase from the Holocaust to Hamas. But we can go back 2,000 years and talk about destructions of temples and being kicked out of Israel and wandering for 2,000 years and not having a home and being expelled from Spain. We can go all. There have been really hard times throughout a lot of Jewish history. And what's amazing about the Jewish people, I would say to you guys, are 2 things. Number 1, we could have easily given up. Why would we want to stay Jewish, given how hard it was to be Jewish? We could so easily have given up. We didn't have a homeland. We were scattered throughout the world. And much of the times, the people around us, whose communities we lived in, didn't really make us feel very welcome. And somehow, we stuck with it. That's pretty amazing. The second thing I want to say is that not only did we just survive, we actually flourished. We became successful in places where we were allowed to get educations and integrate into the larger society. And because we never lost our hope of having the ability to return to our homeland after 2,000 years, we were able to establish a modern-day state of Israel in 1948, where every single one of you will have a chance to go, if you want to go there, and visit it. And go to a country where people are going to be speaking Hebrew in the streets, where the work week does not begin on a Monday, it begins on a Sunday, because that's Jewish time. And where you can see a people that is thriving in a land despite the hardships that they're facing right now. And the only way we could do that was by not losing hope over all those years. You all may know that I quote Rabbi Jonathan Sacks all the time, and we lost one of the greatest teachers of Judaism in the last century when Rabbi Sacks passed away this past year. But he taught something that is really, really important that I want to share with you tonight as you become confirmation students. And that is, he taught the difference about what the difference is between an optimist, between being an optimist and being hopeful. And here's what he said, and I want to quote him. One of the most important distinctions I have learned in the course of my reflection on Jewish history is the difference between optimism and hope. Optimism is the belief that things will get better. Hope is the belief that together we can make things better. Optimism is a passive virtue. Hope is an active one. It takes no courage whatsoever to be an optimist, but it takes a great deal of courage to have hope. Knowing what we do about our past, no Jew could be expected to be an optimist, but Jews have never, despite a history of sometimes awesome suffering, given up hope. As each of you celebrate your confirmation during a year that was really, really, really tough, I hope you know that you belong to a great people that has never lost its hope. A people that has never lost its belief and its faith that the future can be better than the present. You, our confirmation students, are the future. You are our hope, and we have faith in you. And we have hope that despite a year that's been as hard as it's been, that you will go on to great things and flourish, and that you know that your next year and the future is going to be even better. This pandemic is ending, your future is bright, and the Jewish people and the world needs you. May you always have hope, and may your Jewish identity be a source of strength and blessing in your lives and in the lives of your family. And let us all say, Amen. So at this time, confirmation students, it's time to present you with a gift. Each of you, if you look at the program, was given an award that was left by families who have been members of Beth Sholom over the course of many decades, who wanted to honor their loved ones. And each of you, in the next couple of weeks, should be receiving a check, don't spend it all in one place kind of check, but a check for each of the awards that you have been given, and they are in the program. Again, these families wanted to honor the memory and the names of loved ones who they thought had certain characteristics. And your rabbis, your cantor, and Julie spent some time matching the awards with each one of you. So you each are the recipient of an award, and you will be receiving a check in the mail in a couple of weeks. If there's no check that arrives, call Julie. Give us a couple of weeks, though. All right. At this time, we're going to invite each of you to be called by name to receive a gift that we have from Beth Sholom congregation on the occasion of your becoming confirmation students tonight. Tzedakah box. It is a tzedakah box that we hope you'll use in your lives to be able to give tzedakah to people who really need it, and we hope that you will take it with you in all of your journeys. I'm going to call your name. The cantor is going to hand you a certificate, and Julie is going to hand you a gift, so please come forward when you hear your name, and then we're going to conclude the service with all of you leading us in a Don Olam. Max Goldman, we're doing this in alphabetical order, I believe. Aiden Kasner. Oops. I'm sorry. Claire Mantime. Alex Olson. Asher Sasson. Jacob Sasson. Sarah Schwartz. We should have done this in reverse alphabetical order because when your last name starts with a Z, right? Last but certainly not least, Morgan Zickelboim. Mazel tov to all of you. And we are going to invite you to turn with our confirmation students to page 54 as they lead us in Adon Olam, page 54. Who started off? So, families that are joining us for dinner is going to be in the courtyard area just outside the Bornstein Auditorium. I know some of you are going to not be joining us, but we say Shabbat Shalom to those who are not going to be with us for dinner. And we say we will see those of you who are going to be joining us in just a few minutes in the courtyard. We'll do Kiddush, Hamotzi. We'll take our masks off when we're outside, and we will enjoy having some food together and some conversation, a group conversation tonight. You can't wait. It's going to be so fun. Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Awesome job. Shabbat Shalom, guys. Good job. Thank you. Mazel tov. Someone had mentioned Anyhow, so we have to redo the.